Is The Mummy secretly a Resident Evil movie in disguise? Well, that's what we're going to find out here today, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. As you all can tell, I am Nick Smith, and I decided to finally give my thoughts and opinions on why The Mummy makes me think a lot of Resident Evil. And where that new Resident Evil show is out, I figured this might, be a good time to do this. I've watched like one episode of it. I don't know if I'm going to continue it. If you all want me to watch that and give my thoughts on it, let me know. I will be happy to do that. But let's dive into why I think The Mummy is a Resident Evil movie in disguise. Okay, so the first reason is because this movie, along with not only the first, but second and even fourth, fifth, they all have a mystery that needs to be solved. In the first Resident Evil, it's, okay, there's people dying around the Arkham Mountains, let's go send in Alpha and Bravo team in to figure out what's going on. In the second Resident Evil movie, you have Leon Kennedy, who arrives in to do his first shift as a police officer in training, and he discovers there's zombies walking around. They're trying to figure out what is going on. Resident Evil 4, Leon is going to go get the president's daughter. Something has gone awry. Resident Evil 5, and Africa. The Mummy, you have these people who are trying to figure out what has happened to cause a little mummy to rise from the dead. Really gives me like a whole lot of similarities with, someone was buried alive with this curse, and if he was ever to come back, he is given the powers of the 10 plagues of Egypt. And I find that very interesting. It gives something the characters in the movie to do, and it gives, playing the game, it gives you something to do in the game. You're trying to put the pieces together. Okay, why are these people dying in the Arkham Mountains? Why is this mansion filled with zombies? Why are there zombies walking around the police department? Why is there a weird cult acting weird and having parasites come out of their heads? Simple question. Why? That is one of the things that makes me think that this is a Resident Evil movie in disguise, because of the mystery and just how it all comes about and where it takes place. Alright, so the second reason. You got things that are coming back from the dead that really should not be. In this case, you got not only people who have died and are coming back as zombies, but in this one, if you shoot the zombies and their heads don't explode, they're going to come back as a literal rotting, bleeding corpse that instead walking will be running after you, versus in the first Mummy movie, you have not only Imhotep walking around after being resurrected by the Book of the Dead, but you also have him using his powers to bring back his priests and his little tiny creatures. This is somewhat of a creature feature, but I get just a zombie feeling of it because of how these things are happening. And even though, yes, it's an Egyptian curse, but I just get a real parallel between zombies and mummies walking around when they shouldn't be. They should already be dead. And not only that, but you have other creatures. Like I said, you have the priests. You have, I believe they're called the scarabs, the flesh eaters, those little bugs. They can remain dormant for thousands of years, and then they come back, and then they eat you very slowly, which also is fast. But anyways, you got the creatures. In Resident Evil, what do you have? You have the zombies, you have the hunters, you have the lickers. You even have, in The Mummy, people being actually taken down by a horde of people who are basically somewhat like zombies. They got like the boils and the sores, and then in, of course, Resident Evil, you have people being eaten alive by hordes of zombies. Not necessarily in the first one, but maybe in Resident Evil 2 or even 3, 4. And there's a lot of similarities. And not only that, but there are puzzles to solve, not only in this game and every other Resident Evil game, but there is also a puzzle and a riddle to solve in this film, with the books being switched, the Book of the Dead and the Book of Amun-Ra. And it just gives me such a real parallel, and it makes me really wish that we had a Resident Evil movie that was kind of like this. And And finally, my last two about why I really feel like The Mummy is secretly a Resident Evil movie in disguise. You have a lot of similarities with the locations. In the first Resident Evil game, you're in this mansion that has been abandoned, and something has happened, and you're reading the notes, and it has been abandoned for a long period of time. Versus in The Mummy, you have all these characters going down to an Egyptian tomb that has been emptied for hundreds, maybe thousands of years, and it just feels so dark and desolate. And when things start to hit the fan, it really feels like this is a Resident Evil movie, or this is what I would want a Resident Evil movie to be like. The Mummy, to me, is a great example of what I think a Resident Evil movie should be like. You know, it's got a mystery, it's got puzzles, it's got the dark and desolate places, it's got the weapons, it's got the history characters, the enemies. It is overall, I feel, a Resident Evil movie in disguise. But in the comments below, what do you think about this? Do you think the Mummy movie closely resembles Resident Evil? I really want to know. Don't forget to elbow drop that like button and smear the subscribe button for the 1, 2, 3, and stay tuned for my review of the new era of WWE's SummerSlam. Bye guys, and I'll see you next time.